The door that had been closed for 3 years finally opened, letting in a faint light. Alex squinted his eyes against the sudden brightness, feeling a sharp pain.
Alex, someone is here to pick you up. You can leave now.
3 years ago, Alex had been in a severe car accident. His face was disfigured, and his wife, Sophia, spread articles everywhere claiming he was dead. She even held a grand funeral for him. Then, she brought in the person she truly loved, James, to live in their house. Sophia despised Alex for wasting her time and keeping her from her true love.
Sophia, why did you hate me so much?
Sophia had locked Alex in a laboratory, turning him into a test subject for her company's research. For 3 years, he lived in darkness, subjected to painful and secretive experiments. His arms were covered in needle marks, and his body bore the scars of countless surgeries.
I wanted to tell my parents I was still alive, that I wanted to take care of them.
But he had been locked away for so long, he barely remembered what it meant to live. He carved the word live into the wall by his bed, hoping to hold on to that one thought.
Alex, 3 years inside and you come out like this, what a waste.
Alex remained silent, lowering his head.
We were once married. I'm in a good mood today. I'll allow you to attend your parents' funeral.
Whose funeral?
Your parents. They passed away in sorrow, together. At least they have each other.
In sorrow? What did you do to them?
What's wrong? Don't be ungrateful. I'm already giving you face by letting you go.
Exactly. Don't be ungrateful. Oh, I forgot, you were disfigured. The days inside weren't good, were they?
Alex wanted to speak, but his throat hurt too much.
Locked up for so long, you can't even talk. Just like a dog that can't be kept or raised.
Sophia and James walked briskly side by side, while Alex stumbled behind them, as if he had forgotten how to walk.
Look at his face, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
At the funeral, there were few people, and it wasn't grand. Alex's parents had always supported him, unlike the neighbors who thought he had married up by being with Sophia.
I didn't take good care of you. In the next life, don't meet me again. Find a good son.
Alex bowed 3 times heavily to his parents. He stayed down for a long time until Sophia pulled him up.
Alex, enough. Look at you, pretending for whom? People might think I did something to you.
Didn't you? Even if you hated me for separating you and James, 3 years should be enough. You sent me to the lab, all I suffered. Is it enough to erase your hatred?
Alex picked up a knife and held it to his neck.
Is this enough? Can you leave me alone?
Alex, you.
Before she could finish, he slashed his neck.
Call an ambulance.
Blood splattered on the mourning hall, but that wasn't Alex's intention. When I woke up, all I saw was white. Sophia was beside me, looking haggard, while James stood there in a sharp suit, looking immaculate.
Alex, I didn't expect you to do this. You.
Alex. You went to great lengths to gain sympathy. Your parents are gone, and you can only rely on Sophia now. So, you did this to make her feel guilty, right? This way, you can justifiably stay with her.
I remained silent, and Sophia looked at me, her expression shifting from doubt to certainty.
Alex, I never thought you did this for that reason. Are you so casual about your life? Just to break me and James apart?
Yes, seeing you two together. How could I be happy?
Yes, how could I have thought better of you? Didn't those 3 years in the lab teach you anything? Or do you want to go back?
Dark memories flooded in harsh lights, tubes of blood, naked women. My face turned pale instantly.
It seems it wasn't all for nothing.
I don't want to break you two apart. Just let me go.
I can only be at ease with you under my watch, not causing trouble.
With that, James wrapped his arm around her waist and they left. The door closed, and I was locked in again. I couldn't get out, couldn't leave. I would never escape this place. I met Sophia in high school. She was the center of attention, a wealthy heiress, while I was just an ordinary student among many. She liked James, everyone knew that. James, a top student in a prestigious class, with looks that attracted countless girls, was a unique sight. Among them, the most passionate was Sophia. The first time we met, she ran towards me with an umbrella, smiling brightly. In the second she brushed past me, I remembered her faint fragrance. Her umbrella was for James behind me, but at that moment, a rainbow appeared in my heart. After that, I unconsciously paid attention to her. She was like a child, deliberately causing trouble for James, but he never paid her any mind. One afternoon, the campus suddenly played the song Confession. I started sweating and felt anxious. I walked to the window to get some fresh air, and there she was, running past below. She turned back, smiling and waving to her friends. The broadcast played, "Because of you, I fell in love with the end of summer." At that moment, I realized I liked Sophia. She would leave breakfast for him, but he always threw it in the trash. She never saw that there was always a piece of candy in her drawer. A candy that would fall to the floor every time she pulled out her books. On graduation day, James rejected her confession, simply saying he didn't like her. She didn't say much, but when she saw James looking tenderly at the senior next to his sister after school, she broke down and cried. She thought James was focused on his studies and that if she persisted, he would eventually notice her. But he had his own special someone, a gentle girl. I followed her. She got drunk and in her confusion, mistook me for someone else. We ended up together. The next morning, she was shocked and left in a hurry. When I saw her again, she proposed we date. I couldn't find a reason to refuse. In college, we were in different cities. I shared my daily experiences with her. Sometimes she replied, sometimes she didn't. We maintained this delicate relationship until after college when she suggested we get married. We got married and had our own home. After that, her frequent outbursts and the things she threw at me showed her dissatisfaction with our relationship. I asked her about it, and she gave me a mocking smile.
Alex, if it weren't for that night, why would I marry you? My parents pressured me to marry you. I want to ask you, what did you do to make them praise you so highly?
How could she know that before graduation, I knelt before her parents, laying out everything I had, asking to marry Sophia? James came to me. He said he liked me and wanted to be with me. Do you know how happy I was? But because of you, my parents made me stay with you. We're all adults, spending a night together is nothing, but how could you tell my parents, trying to trap me with such a method? Now we're married, are you satisfied? Do you think I will still be bound? She openly brought James back, and he was as dazzling as he was in high school. They ignored my existence and acted recklessly. James never saw me as a rival. He never considered me a competitor. Later, I had an accident one day and was disfigured. Sophia declared to the public that I was dead and held a grand funeral for me. She finally got to be with James openly. And I was sent to the lab, not seeing the light of day for 3 years. The memories abruptly stopped as the door opened, and it was James. He was fiddling with his watch, looking indifferent.
Sophia doesn't know what's going on, but she's been mentioning you a lot lately.
He said this without even glancing at me. I looked at him in silence. He suddenly smiled.
It doesn't matter, you two won't be together again.
Later, Sophia came in angrily. She pulled me out of bed while I was asleep, and I felt a bitter taste spreading in my mouth.
Alex. I brought you out of the lab, and instead of being grateful, you tried to use my guilt to take over my company.
She took out a recording pen, and the voice playing was mine, but I never said those words.
The voice is synthesized. I didn't say that.
Still denying it? The lab, right? I'll send you back in, and you won't come out again.
Suddenly, an overwhelming sense of oppression engulfed me. I panicked and grabbed Sophia, desperately explaining.
It wasn't me. I didn't say it. Have someone test it, and you'll know it's synthesized. Don't you trust me? I didn't say it.
Alex, trust you? Do you think I'm a fool?
James added fuel to the fire.
If it weren't for you, Sophia and I wouldn't have missed out on so much time.
I let my hand drop, but I didn't want to go back. I knelt on the ground with a thud.
Sophia, please, I don't want to go back. I won't take your company, and I won't ruin things between you and James. Just don't send me back.
Sophia showed a hesitant expression, while James clicked his tongue in disdain.
Really?
Seeing no hope, I got up to run, but Sophia suddenly reacted and had someone hold me down, sending me back to the lab.
Stay here and contribute to my company.
I returned to that place, dark and without daylight. This time, there were no disgusting bugs or indulgent women. But James was there. He had me tied to a pillar, with chains binding my hands and feet. He stood in front of me, with a cold look in his eyes. In his hand was a long whip. He suddenly started whipping me, leaving one mark after another. I endured the pain.
Guess why I stayed with Sophia, even though I don't like her, and then turned around to pester her?
His hand didn't stop moving.
Because she has money.
He suddenly laughed.
I can't get the person I like, but I can get money. She, with just a few words, would give away the company. You've been by her side for so long, how come you couldn't get the company and almost lost your life?
He kept talking to himself. I felt pain in every part of my body. Hearing these words, my heart was numb. Finally, he stopped, and I had already passed out. When I woke up on the cold floor, James was gone. Alex, there's a need for blood outside, and it matches yours. Miss Emily said to take as much as needed.
For whom?
Mr. James. I couldn't control myself. I thought and thought, then suddenly laughed, louder and louder, until my voice faded, and tears fell from my eyes. I didn't know how it had come to this. Loving Sophia made me miss my parents' last moments. They didn't even know I was still alive. Getting involved with James and Sophia was the biggest regret of my life. I slapped my own face, one hit after another. I curled up on the ground, crying bitterly. The people in the lab didn't care about my actions. They held me down to prevent me from moving, and I felt my blood flowing out. Feeling dizzy, I held back the urge to cough up blood. When the needle was finally pulled out, it was over. This drama directed by James had a perfect ending. I stretched out and looked at the ceiling. Tears flowed silently. Narrator, tone, serious. Suddenly, the door burst open, and a group of men in black rushed in. Narrator, tone, serious. I saw the man standing at the front. His graying hair did not diminish his presence. It was Sophia's father.
Sophia's father, tone, angry. Is this the lab you set up?
Narrator, tone, serious. His tone was filled with anger. Sophia, who had rushed in behind, showed a flash of shock in her eyes.
Sophia, tone, scared dad, this was all for our company,
Narrator, tone, serious. A slap turned Sophia's head to one side.
James, tone, serious uncle, Sophia did it all for the company. How can you treat her like this?
Sophia's father, tone, angry. How I treat my daughter is none of your business. This lab has been reported, damaging our company's reputation. Can you bear the losses?
Narrator, tone, serious. James fell silent, unable to respond. Soon, everything in the lab was destroyed. In an instant, it was gone without a trace.
Alex, Tone, we dead. Save me.
Narrator, Tone, serious. He looked at me with a familiar gaze, the same look he had when I asked to marry Sophia, as if he could see into my soul. He recognized me.
Sophia's father, Tone, serious Alex?
Narrator, Tone, serious. Then he turned to Sophia, whose evasive expression explained everything.
Sophia's father, Tone, angry. If you can't give me a reasonable explanation, you will leave the company immediately.
Narrator, Tone, serious. He sent me to the hospital, and I received treatment. The doctors found my body covered in scars, with broken and missing ribs. My eyesight had greatly deteriorated, and my kidney function had weakened. I was just an empty shell. Narrator, Tone, serious. The most shocking was Sophia, who seemed unaware of the severity. Her father's eyes were full of scrutiny, while she stared at me intently.
Sophia, Tone, serious. I didn't know it was that serious. I didn't tell them to do this.
Narrator, Tone, serious. For some reason, I couldn't sleep, my eyes just stayed open. So I saw Sophia's mother, that elderly yet elegant woman, crying and looking at me with uncontrollable heartache.
Sophia's mother, Tone, sad Alex. How did it come to this? It's all our family's fault, we owe you. Sophia's mother, Tone, sad Sophia, you must make it up to Alex.
Sophia, Tone, serious. Mom, it's not necessary. Just let me leave.
Sophia's mother, Tone, serious. No.
Sophia, Tone, serious. We haven't divorced yet, and in your current state, where can you go?
Alex, Tone, sad. Anywhere is better than here.
Narrator, Tone, serious. I sneered, and she was stunned.
Sophia's father, Tone, serious Alex, focus on getting better.
Narrator, Tone, serious. I closed my eyes. I heard their footsteps leaving, Sophia's explanations, her father's roars, and her mother's sobs. I didn't know how long it took for everything to return to silence. Narrator, Tone, serious. Sophia came in, looked at me for a long time, and then quietly left. I never opened my eyes. I didn't know who was pretending anymore. Narrator, Tone, serious. In the following days, my health deteriorated rapidly. I was resuscitated many times and slept for many days. In a daze, I heard Sophia's voice.
Sophia, Tone, serious. No matter what, he can't die. You must save him.
Narrator, Tone, serious. Before I could think more, I fell back into unconsciousness. Occasionally, when I opened my eyes, it was still Sophia. She no longer had her exquisite makeup, and her whole appearance was disheveled.
Sophia, Tone, hopeful you're awake?
Narrator, Tone, serious. Was I mistaken, or was she hopeful?
Alex, Tone, serious. Do you know what I've been through these 3 years?
Narrator, Tone, serious. She paused for a moment.
Sophia, Tone, serious. I've already talked to James.
Alex, Tone, serious. Get out.
Sophia, Tone, shocked. What did you say?
Alex, Tone, serious. I said, get out. I don't want to see you. Do you hear me?
Sophia, Tone, angry Alex. Don't be ungrateful. I've been taking good care of you, compensating you. My patience is limited.
Alex, Tone, serious. I don't need it.
Narrator, Tone, serious. She threw the bowl and chopsticks in her hand, grabbed her bag, and was about to leave.
Sophia, Tone, angry. Then get better. Stop looking like you're dying, putting on a show for my parents, and then making me compensate.
Narrator, Tone, serious. She left in her high heels, leaving me lying there. Those few words had exhausted all my strength. I had hoped that everything wasn't her intention, but reality is often cruel. She knew everything James did, and she enjoyed it. She liked seeing people submit, like seeing me as low as dirt. Now, her compensation was just rare guilt. Narrator, tone, serious. Once I resisted, that guilt disappeared immediately. Deep down, she wanted me to comply, and James was the tool to make me comply. I struggled to get up, a fruit knife making me close my eyes. I reached out to grab it, just as a doctor came in.
Dr. Tone, serious, what are you doing?
Alex, Tone, serious doctor, I don't want to die now.
For several days, I didn't see Sophia again. When I saw her next, she was wearing a rare white dress, but her face was pale.
Alex, I know everything now.
I turned my head away.
My parents have told me about how you begged to marry me, about how James slandered you. I know everything now. It's my fault. She suddenly burst into tears and threw herself in front of me. I brought James into the company, but he secretly acquired shares. Now, at the shareholders' meeting, they unanimously agreed to elevate James to a high position. My parents were so angry they fainted, and I had to face everything alone. James never liked me. He only came back because the person he liked got married, and James just wanted my money and my company. I initially wanted to live well with you, but I misjudged people and let you down. I'm sorry.
Have you said enough?
She was stunned and slowly raised her head. I looked closely at her face. The person who was once etched in my heart now stood before me, but I felt nothing.
Don't look at me like that, Sophia. If you're done talking, please leave. I need to rest.
She took a deep breath and forced a smile.
Alex, I'll come back tomorrow. From now on, it will be just us. Give me a chance, and I'll make it up to you.
I closed my eyes and ignored her. After that, I didn't see her again. She was probably busy with the company. As for my body, it was deteriorating. The number of times I was resuscitated increased, and each time I felt like I was on the brink of death, only to be pulled back. Later, on TV, I saw James being arrested. He was caught embezzling funds and sent to prison. Sophia was interviewed, and she smiled at the camera.
I misjudged people and made many mistakes. Fortunately, there's someone I love by my side. Fortunately, he's still here, so I'll spend my life making it up to him, loving him. Alex, did you hear that?
Her eyes were full of love, and the crowd erupted in cheers. I quickly turned off the TV, tasting blood in my throat. The door suddenly opened, and Sophia entered, dressed elegantly, holding flowers that made her look even more beautiful.
Alex, did you hear that?
No.
It's okay. I'll say it again. I said,
I don't want to hear it.
Alex, what do you want me to do? I'm trying to make it up to you. Why won't you give me a chance? Don't you love me?
Not anymore.
Her face turned pale.
I won't allow you to say that. She threw the flowers aside and rushed to kiss me.
The moment our lips touched, I felt nothing but disgust. I resisted, trying to push her away, but I didn't have the strength. I could only turn my head to avoid her. Her breath moved downward.
Sophia, enough! I said I don't love you anymore. Can't you understand? Stop tormenting me.
Alex, don't say that. It makes me sad.
She tried to continue. I mustered all my strength, rolled to the edge of the bed, and stood by the window.
If you come any closer, I'll jump. Do you want to see me die?
Alex, don't joke about your life.
Sophia, you sent me to the lab for 3 years. My parents were my support then. Now that everything is gone, what difference does it make if I live or die?
You still have me, Alex. We can be happy together, can't we?
No, I can be happy with anyone but you. You don't deserve it.
She was deeply hurt but didn't come any closer.
Alex, I won't take it to heart. Stay well in the hospital. I'll keep visiting you.
My eyes were drawn to the flowers on the floor.
Take the flowers with you.
She hesitated for a moment, then picked up the bouquet and left. She didn't know that I was allergic to pollen. She only loved herself. The hospital issued a notice that multiple organs of mine had failed, and further treatment was meaningless. At first, Sophia caused a huge commotion. She didn't believe it and started yelling at the doctors, accusing them of incompetence.
I want to take him abroad for the best treatment.
She couldn't wait to take me back home, the home I hadn't lived in for long.
Alex, nothing has changed at home. Look, this is our home. She hugged me from behind. Alex, you've lost so much weight, but it's okay. We'll go abroad, and they'll cure you. You'll get better.
I pulled her hand away.
I'm not going.
We can't cure you here, so we have to try abroad. Why?
She suddenly realized something, her eyes widening as she looked at me.
Do you really not want to live anymore?
I responded with a smile.
Alex, don't think you can leave me.
She smashed everything she could until there was no place to step in the entire house. She cried, tears streaming down her face. I felt irritated and stepped over the broken pieces into the room, feeling at peace being alone. I took a hot shower and saw my emaciated self in the mirror. I buried myself in the bed and closed my eyes. In my mind, I saw the high school days. I always loved the high school version of Sophia. She was so stunning during that time, bursting into my life and stirring my calm heart. But I also deeply hated the current Sophia, selfish and self-centered. In my dream, I couldn't open my eyes, vaguely hearing the sound of frantic knocking and Sophia's anxious calls. Then, I sank back into the dream. When I woke up, I saw Sophia's red eyes and her mother's undisguised sorrow. I looked out the window at a pair of birds standing side by side on a tree and suddenly started laughing.
Sophia, let's go to the beach and watch the sunset.
Then promise me, after we watch it, we'll go abroad for treatment.
Okay, I promise.
Sophia quickly packed up. The beach wasn't far, but I had never been there. She put a coat on me, saying she thought it suited me perfectly at first glance. I didn't respond. That day, Sophia dressed formally, with exquisite makeup and a beautiful dress. We arrived at the beach together, vast and magnificent, with huge waves crashing against the cliffs. The world was so big, and the ground we stood on was just a small piece, but I had no chance to step out of here again. At the end of the sea, the sun slowly set, sinking after a brief moment of splendor. In that instant, it was beautiful enough, and my eyes grew moist. The sky darkened, and fireworks bloomed.
Sophia, there's a flower vendor over there. Buy me a bouquet, just like the first time.
I rarely made requests, and she beamed with joy.
Wait for me.
She jogged over, and I didn't look back at her. Sophia, I don't like flowers, and I don't like you. I walked towards the cliff by the sea, faster and faster. In the moment of freefall, I felt at peace. The waves enveloped me, and I was no longer separated from the sea. The sounds behind me grew distant, and Sophia's heart-wrenching cries faded.
Alex! Alex!
Alex died, but he also lived. I saw the crowd in chaos, saw Sophia being held tightly by someone on the shore. I kept floating, wanting to drift to the end of the sea. Alex had never felt so free. He would no longer be bound and could go anywhere he wanted. Sophia personally cremated me and held a funeral for me. Everything in the company was taken over by her cousin. Back home, she shed all her pretenses. She looked at my photo, silently shedding tears.
Alex, why didn't you want to stay by my side? Why did you want to see the sea? Why did you ask me to buy flowers?
She asked many questions, but no one answered. She probably knew the answers herself. She hugged my urn, drinking herself into a stupor. She poured the alcohol over her head, danced barefoot to the music, her face full of enjoyment. Sometimes she fed the air, sometimes she clinked glasses with it. She had lost her mind. She scattered my ashes on the bed and slept beside them, as if cuddling.
Alex. Alex.
For several days, she didn't leave the house. When her parents came, the place was a mess. The smell of mold was spreading. Broken pieces on the floor, spilled alcohol everywhere. Sophia pulled them to dance with her.
Mom, Dad, Alex and I are going on a trip.
They realized Sophia had lost her sanity. They sent her to a psychiatric hospital for treatment, a top-tier facility with the best doctors. Sophia took Alex's ashes with her. She smiled at everyone she met, greeted them warmly.
This is Alex. Let me tell you our love story.
People didn't take it seriously, just listened and moved on. Sophia tried to escape, getting caught each time. She encouraged others to escape with her.
We are not sick. We want freedom.
The crowd went into chaos, many managed to escape. The hospital contacted Sophia's father, saying they could no longer keep her. Sophia's father had no choice but to take her home. But her mother's health had deteriorated, unable to handle the constant stress from their daughter. Sophia suddenly suggested going to another psychiatric hospital, seeming almost normal that day. She admitted herself, but this place was different. It was oppressive, no one dared to escape because they would be punished harshly. The patients there were ruthless, obedient to the doctors but cruel to each other. Sophia stayed calm for a few days, then started causing trouble again. This time, no one tolerated her. She was beaten by several people. She was locked in a dark room, swallowed by darkness. Some patients threw snakes and spiders at her, waiting to see her fear. Her bed was thrown into a cesspool, her hair singed by fire. She was splashed with water while sleeping, had her food thrown at her during meals. The main staff laughed, and those who didn't understand followed suit. No one intervened. Sophia didn't resist, she just smiled.
Alex, are you doing well? Without me, is it much better? I've been thinking about how you spent those 3 years, but I can't imagine it. I sent myself to a psychiatric hospital to experience everything you went through. I guess this is how you lived.
She cried.
Alex, I'm sorry. I'm paying you back now. Please forgive me, okay?
She reached out to grasp the person in the void, but there was nothing there. She wanted to experience everything Alex had gone through, telling herself it was to ensure Alex's happiness in the next life.